Good morning. I'm Gail Andersen. This is my husband Kirby. Probably you have not seen him on here before, but we decided we would do a scope and just discuss some things as a couple. First of all, I just want to tell you this is Mentoring Moments for Moms. If you're joining us for the first time, glad you hopped on. If you're watching the replay, good for you. I'm happy you're doing so. You can give me some hearts by tapping on the screen, and if you want to share this broadcast, just swipe to the right. Good morning to everybody. Hope you're having an awesome day. What we are talking about today is the importance of getting away with your spouse. And dates are wonderful, however often you have those, but I'm talking about actually getting away from home, whether that be out of town or not. Just read a blog post on holding hands. Excellent. That was a great one, wasn't it? A lot of fun. Is it hard for you? Do you do overnights with your spouse? Wherever you're at in your marriage, are you doing overnights with your spouse? I want to say regularly, but it is difficult to do it too often. But I know for me, it was very difficult after I had children. I just did not want to get babysitters. The kids really seemed more important to me than my husband, which I definitely think was wrong, but it was very hard for me to get away. Hard for me to trust somebody else with the kids. We didn't have relatives in town. So let me know, have you done overnights? Do you do overnights with your spouse? And do you enjoy that? Do you feel like there's benefit to it? I also want to hear from my husband as to how he felt when I would not do overnights.
Well, I think the biggest thing is dates are great, and those should be. I always tell people to strive for at least weekly in some fashion or other. It doesn't always happen. But the overnighters were particularly good for me. I think especially when the kids were home, I just needed to really have Gail's undivided attention. And it was important as a husband. Sometimes we're a little bit slow to warm up to conversation, and it's difficult for me to do it in short bursts or in between kids coming in or other distractions. And even though we often teach on the importance of what we call couch time, having 15 to 30 minutes every day at the end of the day or the end of the work day to get together as a couple without the kids bugging you and things like that, sometimes it's just tough for a guy to really get in the place where he's willing to kind of go deep and to talk.
It takes quite a while of that precursor conversation before we can get into the deep stuff.
It does. Very true. And I think the other thing is too, for most guys, the recreational companionship is a big deal. I know for me, I like to have fun, I like to do things, I like to experience things, but I like to experience things with you. And it's a really big deal. And in the heat of just the day-to-day activity as a young mom.
Yes, it is the heat.
Man, it's tough for you all to shut off and to be able to really focus. Even if we go out on a date sometime, you're still thinking about things at home. So I think that's just the benefit of the overnighter or a couple of nights, if you can even do that, is it just gives you some extended time to just break away. And I was thinking about it. I think probably some of our biggest decisions as far as goals and other things actually came to a head and to a point of decision while we were away on those times, because we had that concentrated time to dream, to talk, and to just really go deep.
Now somebody just wrote in and said yes, they get away regularly because they have both sets of grandparents in town.
Well, that's a bonus. Yeah, we never had that.
And definitely take advantage of that, because that's a wonderful situation. Grandkids love their grandparents. It's great to have time with them. And then mom and dad can get away as often as they need to, which is wonderful.
And we try and do that a lot for our kids as much as they ask us.
We do. We even go all the way out to California so they can
we're
get
there.
away.
I mean, we're selfish. We get the time with them, but we just know how important it is for our kids.
And I love it. Let's see. Ditto. Major lifestyle shift decisions happen on... Yeah, isn't it true?
It is.
What if the baby is still nursing?
Well,
you know what? I tried that once while the baby was still nursing. It was pretty difficult. I did pump ahead, but it does make it pretty difficult. But it needs to be a decision between you and your husband. How badly do you need time away? And it is a matter too with, okay, did you have some time away before you had that baby? Because it is really important to make sure before you have another lifestyle change like that,
That's
where
true.
the family's going to be seasonally imbalanced for a while,
Yep.
that you take that time beforehand. Now, literally, I had my first baby at 22. They were 22 months apart. And then it was probably when that second one was a year old that I finally went somewhere overnight with my husband. And I'm embarrassed to say that. I did not teach it at that point. I didn't realize the value. And I really had a bad priority list. My husband was number one until the baby came. And once I had a baby, then kids were kind of number one for me. And I do not recommend that at all. One of the best reasons for going away and getting away is because you were a couple. You were the original family before children
That's right.
came into it. And then when the children are gone, you will
still
be
there.
that original couple.
Yeah, you don't want to drift. And I think one of the key phrases you just used is that there are going to be seasons of imbalance. And some of those are predictable. Like what you said with a pregnancy or something, you know that things are going to change here for a little bit, so maybe before the baby arrives, you're able to break away a little bit. And it's okay.
Absolutely.
It's okay to yield to that season of imbalance. It's not, it should be a guilt-free zone. Things just are different. But you just want to make sure that the things that you make the exception for during those times don't become the norm. Because there is no relationship, and certainly a marriage relationship, that can maintain its vibrancy without deep, meaningful conversation.
That's right.
That's got to happen daily. It's got to happen through weekly dates, but there is a value for just getting away as well and just regrouping and as we like to say, go up 30,000 feet, whatever that is, and just kind of get a big picture perspective. And you can't do that on the fly,
That's right.
in day-to-day life. There's just too much calling for your attention, and even if you want to, it's hard to get in the zone for a little bit. So to break away, to just do something different, to get out of your norm, man, it is just so recharging.
I think part of the thing is, in all these years when we did get away, we felt like newlyweds again.
Absolutely.
And that was fun.
Yeah.
We could focus completely on each other. We could be more flexible. Whereas once you're in the family and you have children, there are, out of necessity, some things that will revolve around their schedule. But
I think the biggest thing was just you. It was
Yes.
easier for me to compartmentalize and to shut down, but it wasn't that way for you until I got you out of the nest. I mean,
Yes.
you have to get away from your.
it's
from your
hard
zone.
because then once we're out together, we're problem solving on things I'm
Oh,
going
yeah.
through with the kids.
It's awesome. Yeah.
Which may not be talking about family goals and where
Right.
we're, the direction we're headed and stuff like that. What's the hardest reason for you all in planning a getaway with your husband? Is it, just not being able to get all the things done, to take the time away, not having a sitter, just not wanting to go through all the things it entails, the planning, the list making, the meal prep? I mean, a lot of that, if you have a few kids in the home, that is difficult. It's very difficult. And I know there were a few times where my husband whisked me away. That's what I call it. He actually just surprised me and
Kidnapped
grabbed me
you.
and took me away. And he took care of all the details. And those were wonderful. But not every husband is able to do that. My husband works all the time and is a homebody. would travel much more. That's interesting. But you guys still need to get out of the house. You still need to. I mean, there were times that I think we probably even went to a hotel in the town where we lived.
Yeah.
Just to have a getaway by ourselves. And you just ignore the fact that your home is close and you go to a different area in town and you just have time together. The question of who's caring for your kids is an issue as well. I mean, you just don't want to turn them over to anybody. You've heard enough horror stories, I'm sure, about leaving them with someone who maybe you wouldn't actually have wanted to. So you really have to be careful. And, with my son and his wife out in California, they literally fly us out to babysit when they go overnight, which is quite a compliment for us that they trust us that much and value our input and time with the kids. So that's really fun to get that time with them. But It is hard.
I think finances are also another big deal, and that may be for some husbands maybe a little bit of a deterrent if they're just, you know, they'd like to do that, but maybe they just don't see the value enough financially. And I think like good dates, dates don't have to cost a lot. The key to a good date is just finding those things that you enjoy doing together. And so it doesn't just have to be we're just going to get away, but it could be to a place where you both really enjoy, or maybe there's another event there that's going on that you can share together, and that your husband, you know, would enjoy, those kinds of things. So I know for us, there was for a season I was trying. I'd always get so geared up about this after we would have a great getaway.
Yes.
And I'd come home and I'd have a lofty goal of we need to do this quarterly. And, you know, there was a season where we maybe did that a little better than what we did. But it does take a financial investment, and that's, you know, you're both going to have to be on the same page and try and figure that out. But just like any other kind of travel, there's ways that you can do that economically. And I just think you got to make it happen.
For me, financial was always an issue too, because I didn't want to spending the money on it. But one of the things that was very interesting is the very first getaway we had after our second born was a free night stay at a place where your church had planned a retreat, and we had to go check it out.
Yeah.
So it cost us very little. Cost us gas and then our meals. We didn't have to pay.
Except it did cost me about $20,000 because we enjoyed the swimming pool so much and came home and decided we needed to build a swimming pool. So that free vacation cost me a lot.
I don't know if it was that much.
No,
yes,
but it
did.
did.
That's for sure.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was really a great time to get away and very crucial. And actually, then after we had the pool, we did more of just being around the pool in the evenings together and taking a swim before bed and just talking while we're swimming, and that was wonderful. It was a wonderful investment at the time. So the other thing I wanted to hit is, there are ways to get Groupons where you can go certain places and stay for a very discounted rate. Go places for the off season. If you know someone that has a timeshare, you can either borrow or pay a little bit for to use some of their points and stay somewhere. But there are ways. The biggest thing is communicating and getting a goal, having a goal that you are going to do that. You are going to make it happen.
Plan ahead.
Yes, maybe setting aside funds if you need to.
That's the key for a good date, too. Don't wait till Friday night to decide what you're going to do. Plan it earlier in the week and look forward to it.
And all of my scopes are uploaded to my YouTube channel. The link is in here. And I think what I'll do is when I upload this, I will also upload a list of recreational dates that you can have with your husband, which came from a book by Willard Harley, His Needs, Her Needs. And there's some crazy ideas on there, but it might just spark your interest as you and your husband look at that list and get some ideas of things you can do together. One of the things that we do on a regular basis for the last, I don't know how many years, is scooter together.
Yeah.
Probably 2003 is when he got a scooter to match mine, and then we started scootering together. And that is just a blast.
It's a great date, or to get away. Let me just say one other thing about the overnighter. It's kind of, for me, I always tell young church leaders and other guys the importance of regular retreats, personal retreats, and sometimes that's just a prayer day to get away. It was my habit there at least once a year. I would take a 3 to 5 day retreat at the end of the year, and this really has the same, it's the same idea. It's a chance for you to break away. And the cool thing is that whenever I did that, my church was always really excited about it, my congregation, when I'd go away, because I always came back better. And I think the same thing applies to mom and dad.
It does. With
the kids. Yeah, they may tug at your pant leg when you're walking out the door, and why can't we go, and that kind of stuff. But generally, it's good for the whole family. So you need to see this as an investment. This isn't just kind of just a fun little deal. It's good for the marriage. It's good for the family. And this is some of the best money that you will spend. And it doesn't have to be extravagant, but you do need to make it happen.
So maybe you need to play this Periscope for your husbands, so your husbands can be in line with it and make sure they make it happen and plan. And I'm sure that Kirby would tell you that when I would come back with him from a getaway like that, I would be a better marriage partner, I would be a better mom, I would be refreshed, And we need those times of refreshing. We can't keep going on and on and on and on without taking those times. So,
so husbands, if you're watching this right now, get with it, buddy. Come on, it's worth it. Do it, make it happen.
Yes.
Get your heads together on this thing. Find a budget that's going to work. Make it happen. It's worth it.
And if you're not creative in planning, get her best friend, and her best friend will help you plan it and figure out all the details that need to be planned. So, yeah.
That's good.
So at least once a year for your anniversary, you should be making the attempt to get away. So hopefully this is going to encourage you to do that and bring it up to your spouse and just discuss it and make a plan to do it. So it's been nice visiting with you all. Thank you for having my husband here.
It's good with you guys today, ladies.
So I'll most likely be on tomorrow morning for a bit and check in with you again, but I hope you have an awesome day.